Welcome to the Mayavi River, which is a sub-chapter in the chapter called The Land of Education and Semi-Humans. Too much inquisitiveness gives the best of both the worlds. Adventure and experience, memories and new relations also put you into deep troubles. Now, I would be reading from the midst of this chapter where the children who are sent from the kingdom to an ashram run by Saint Achintya and how they get into deep troubles out of their impulsive behavior. It goes like this. The time passed and the sun arose. The thick green grass path in front of them led them towards a beautiful garden that is never seen before, which looked alluring and surreal. The kids got excited to see different kinds of animals that flew, buds that walked, leaves that blossomed with unusual flowers, and monster flowers that were all over the trees and leaves as big as plants. On either side of the surreal garden, 80 feet tall and bulk trees were there, with branches spread along in all the directions. The leaves of that tree were 5 feet large in size. Everything allowed the kids' eyes. They moved further and farther into the garden. As they were moving around, forgetting themselves in the bizarre beauties of the land, their legs were caught in a creeper of pink leaves and all of them slipped on the ground at a jolt. All the kids were pulled by that creeper down along the garden that turned slowly. Because of that, the kids could not find any grip on the ground. While the kids were dragged along the steep valley, they screamed louder and louder, which was heard by the semi-humans who were lying and resting on the never-ending branches of the trees across the garden. But they slept again. These giant vegetarian semi-humans lived in the village called Surabhi that was on the other side of the giant trees of this garden. Each of these giant semi-humans was 16 feet tall. The face was like a buffalo and the body was like a chimpanzee. The creepers pulled the kids to the edge of the garden and the creepers disappeared. At a foot distance from the kids' legs was the river called Mayavi. There was neither sand nor shore. The water was crystal clear that the kids could see all the aquatic animals, all the fish, frogs, starfish, octopuses that had wings, and they were flying high into the sky from the river and fell back into the river. The phantasmagoric things captured the children's interest that they did not even realize the injuries on their bodies. From nowhere, two circular boats with paddles rattling on their own, made up of bamboo, came towards the kids. The kids were jumping and clapping seeing those two boats. Impulsive kids crossed that 1 foot and got into those Mayavi boats. The paddles started to paddle and the boats moved forward. As the boats were moving forward through the river, the kids could see the marine life so clear as the blue water was crystal clear. Amusement after amusement amused the kids. To their surprise, they saw tiny creatures in whitish silver color, 1 foot tall, flying 10 feet above the water, singing and dancing in the air. Fascinated kids with wide-opened eyes and mouths were staring at those Mayavis. These Mayavis sang and entertained the kids with their singing and dancing. The kids fell in love with these Mayavis. Mayavis kept saying, "More amusements to those kids who pronounce exactly the same after us." "The river opens to those who opens their doors," was the thing they kept saying again and again. All the kids repeated after the Mayavis. "The river opens to those who open their doors." The kids kept saying it again and again after those Mayavis. The leader of these Mayavis, who was 2 feet tall, appeared with a silver jug in her hands. Mahamayavi is her name, who was white with a fish tail in blue color. Her tail was twisted back and was raised above her own head. Her hands were white feathers like a bud. She had tiny eyes in the form of grapes. Mahamayavi says, "I am Mahamayavi, the leader of these tiny Mayavis, and I am the potion maker of the potion in this jug. The moment you gulp it, the river will open up to the Bethalakona." The leader came flying with a 1 foot tall golden jug in her hands. The golden jug was conical in shape. It was glittering bright with blue diamonds on it. Mahamayavi was coming closer towards the kids while the other Mayavis were singing the song. The river opens, the river opens, the river opens as the doors open, and doors open, which they kept singing. All the kids opened their mouths, and the Mahamayavi poured a crystal blue colored Mayavi potion into their mouths. The smell was so mouth-watering. It spread everywhere around. The kids gulped it. All the Mayavis with the leaders snapped tiny 2 fingers of their feathers. The boats lost the direction of the movement. The river started to whirl around. The boats whirled around faster and faster. The Mahamayavis and the Mayavis held both the boats and hit them together. At the bank of the boats, the river started to swirl around much faster. The kids then realized that they were getting into trouble. Kids started screaming and crying for help. The Mayavi angels turned into Mayavi angelic devils with sharp teeth, sharp nails, and were laughing, looking at the kids. Their bodies turned into black color with the kids got up and whipped up their eyes to see who were those creatures lifting their boats up into the sky. There were these 16 feet semi-humans. Their faces looked buffaloes, but bodies looked chimpanzee, with 2 short tails of 1 foot each. They covered only their hips with the flowery leaves that were available in that of the Mayavi gardens. The Mayavis snapped their tiny fingers. Their vehicle clouds came up from the mouth of the river. The Mayavis sat on their respective individual clouds, snapped their 2 tiny fingers, and the clouds flew into the mouth of the water like swans. The level and flow of the Mayavi river became normal, waiting for the next adventurous ones, or fools, to come and fall into their trap. The river opened up its mouth at the center to swallow the boats and take the boats to Betalakona, which is the land of ghosts. And that was when the semi-humans swung over the branches and reached the spot. 2 semi-humans held the branches of the trees tight with their hands. The other 2 semi-humans tangled their legs with the legs of the 2 hanging semi-humans. They picked up both the boats with their hands from the mouth of the river before it was shut. The semi-humans could have instead hung by tangling their legs to the branches and held the other 2 semi-humans' legs. But they generally don't think wise. They only thought wild.